Are you also practicing self-quarantine? Well, history has it that some major breakthroughs have been made by people during their quarantine period. Some people made the most of their quarantine period, but do you know about them? Let's begin with 1665. The Great Plague hit London. With the outbreak of the epidemic, schools, colleges, and other institutions started to shut down. Cambridge University did very much the same. To protect students from the disease, they started sending the students back to their homes. And one such student in his early 20s decided to make the most of his time. Spending most of his time in his garden, he saw an apple fall from a tree. And eureka! This student then went on to publish the groundbreaking theory on gravity and motion. That same year, he also wrote multiple papers on calculus and optics. So well, who is this person? Sir Isaac Newton. The outbreak of the deadly bubonic plague in the Elizabethan era had not only claimed lives but also forced people into quarantine. In the small countryside, the farmers were also homebound because of the epidemic. Call it work from home if you want. This man was a playwright who had to now write his narratives sitting in a room while the country witnessed closure of almost everything. But the deadly disease did not discourage him. He is none other than William Shakespeare, who wrote plays like King Lear, Macbeth, and Antony Cleopatra during this time. Now, this is the story of Edward Monk. So let us tell you what he did and how he did it. From his childhood, Monk would frequently fall sick, and he had lost two of his family members to tuberculosis. A painter, he had contracted the Spanish flu, a pandemic that had hit in 1918. But he was not going to allow the disease to win over him. With whatever he had, Monk catalogued his physical state through a series of paintings. One of his most famous works is The Scream. Yes, you must have seen it. And it remains to be one of the iconic images of world art. This playwright came to fame at the same time as William Shakespeare. When bubonic plague hit London in 1592, Thomas Nash fled to the countryside to quarantine himself. During this time, he wrote his first solo-authored play, Summer's Last Will and Testament. A Florentine writer and poet, Giovanni Boccaccio, got affected by bubonic plague in the 14th century. While he lost both his parents to the disease, he fled to the Tuscan countryside in order to isolate himself. It was during this time that he wrote a series of novellas wherein he talks about the quarantine life. This series was written in the Florentine language and was considered a masterpiece in the Italian prose. But if you're not motivated by this, then we still have more for you. Did you know that Mahatma Gandhi wrote My Experiments with Truth while he was in the Yerwada jail? Not only this, Nelson Mandela and Jawaharlal Nehru have written some classic pieces while they served their time in prison. So if you are self-quarantined or working from home, make the best of it. Keep calm and stay safe.